Second love, greetings and a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all. I have been married for 17 years, since I was 21 years old. We have 2 children together, a 10-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old daughter. It had been a good relationship on the whole, as we have had some of the problems that many married couples have, but nothing dramatic. But there is the catch. In the spring of 2019, my wife was on a work trip to another part of the country for a week for a conference. Standard stuff, as this has happened many times before. When she returned, she seemed rather unlike herself, but I didn't put much thought into it at the time as we are both busy. The bomb was dropped on July 4th. Her phone went off when she was in the shower. It was a text message that said, "What color underwear are you wearing today?" When she got out, I asked her what the hell that was all about. Initially, she told me it was a joke a friend was playing on her. Since I'm not 3 years old, I asked her to try again. That is when she told me that she had slept with a co-worker on the trip, and that they had slept together one other time the week after she returned. Happy 4th, everyone. She told me that she was sorry and that she wanted to keep it a secret forever, but that the guilt was too much for her to take. Especially after seeing me take the girls out for a day on the town the day before. What does that even mean exactly? Who knows? Rather odd considering I actually had to confront her to get the information. So, in hindsight, I think this is where I really kind of messed up, as I pretty much forgave her and didn't do very much other than try to move on. She has been more affectionate, and I have kept track of her communications and travels, and don't have a reason to think things have continued. Boy Toy is located in another office some 250 miles away, so the day-to-day thing would have been difficult to continue. Anyway, for some reason around the holidays beginning, I just started to find myself actually getting just angry about everything. I probably haven't been the perfect husband or anything, but I didn't deserve to have any of this happen. I've never even looked at another girl since I met my wife. Don't I feel like an idiot now? Every year we have tended to visit her parents about 5 hours away for Christmas. About a week ago I just honestly felt dead inside to going and told her I wasn't coming along this year. The girls wanted to see their grandparents, so I was okay with that, as I trust my wife as a mother. Not that much as a woman anymore. She was all upset and telling me that I hadn't forgiven her after all. Well, no crap, Sherlock. I honestly don't like her parents that much, and the thought of having to fake it just isn't something I can do at this point. I made a mistake not kicking her out of the house this summer. I think I was just numb and couldn't understand what had happened before. But now that I do understand, I think I'd actually like to file for divorce now. Am I nuts? How all over the board is this? Thing is, I really dread having her come back tomorrow. I certainly don't want to give the impression that I don't want to save my family. But honestly, I don't think I'm the one that put us in jeopardy to begin with. I am angry, very angry. Not physical violence angry, but angry that what had been a very good marriage has been torn in half by her wanting to sleep with another man. She has told me that she loves me very much, but it was like a drug having this guy pay attention to her. Hell, it probably was like a drug. I probably would have felt the same way about a woman younger than me paying attention. The difference is that I didn't entertain the notion. She did. She has apologized. Probably for getting caught, but she did apologize. I guess sometimes that doesn't even happen, so perhaps I have that going for me. This thing just kind of happened to me over the last month or two where I just have fallen out of love with her. Maybe it's a coping mechanism. If it was just the 2 of us, I wouldn't have any issue with filing for divorce tomorrow. But with our daughters involved, that really hurts me to think of not being a daily influence in their lives. Perhaps I have to just do the best I can over the next few years until they turn 18. One other thing that bugs me. I was taking care of the youngest who had the flu that week that she was doing bedroom gymnastics with Mr. Perfect. I'm not looking for an award of valor for taking care of my kid, but the contrast to our activities that week really angers me. Looks like I have some work to do. To be honest, I don't know if there is NC. I assume there is because of there being nothing on her phone. But that probably is just me being wishful, isn't it? I wonder if it's unlikely that they are quite cold turkey. I think I'm going to demand access to her email for starters. We'll have to have a long talk about her job as well. As odd as this may sound, I'm going to need the details of their times together as well. I wonder how blatant they were with those around them when they were out of town. I wonder how much of an idiot I look like to her co-workers. She says that he pursued her and that she fell for the attention. But I wonder how true that is. Did she give him signals? When did the line start getting crossed? Did she know that when she was giving it up to him that she was also ripping my heart out? It probably didn't matter, I assume. Who have I been married to? The family returned yesterday, and I was so happy to see the girls again. Christmas was very difficult without them. My wife and I only spoke briefly during the day as I told her that I didn't want to really talk about it until we had time to sit down and actually talk. I took the girls out shopping and spent the day with them. Last night I sat the wife down and told her that I needed to know everything. She hesitated a bit, but I said that if we weren't to get divorced in 2020, she had to lay it on the line right now. Oddly enough, 2 times was actually over a year, 10 times total. I had her write out the dates for me. Iam is located 250 miles away but is in town about once a month. I asked her why she was willing to be an escort to a guy 4 hours away once a month when she had a husband at home. Didn't get a straight answer to that, not that I was expecting one. I told her I needed her to write down her passwords for her email accounts, work and home. She said that was an invasion of her privacy. I mentioned that in order for the marriage to work, her privacy was secondary. She was angry at that point and said that I didn't even want to try to work things out and that I was punishing her. The last few days I sort of anticipated this happening. I'm not particularly bright, obviously, but I am perceptive. So, I had already booked a hotel room nearby, about 6 blocks away, and told her she was going to have to stay there for a while to think about if she was serious about saving our marriage. She was really upset and was yelling at me about kicking her out onto the street, and that I didn't love her. I told her that it's only because I love her that I'm doing this. If I didn't, I would just file tomorrow. So, she has until Sunday morning to let me know if she will be giving me the passwords and full name of her lover and his marital status. She will also have to write a NC letter that is emailed in front of me. Any other additional measures I need to have done at the time will be taken then as well. If her answer is no, then we can start the divorce process next week as the new year starts. I love her, but I won't live like this. It's me or it's him. And if it's me, she has to prove it. If it's him, I will immediately go into protective mode to legally obtain custody of my children. This probably comes off as orderly as I've written it, but honestly, I've had about 10 panic attacks today and felt like calling about 20 times telling her to come home. I'm not that strong at all, but I think I bluffed it well. My head is spinning, but I'm thinking I'm doing the best I can considering the situation. Thanks for all of your helpful advice. I haven't told anyone about this except for my brother and parents. I have a feeling this will be known to many more people next week either way, and that makes me feel embarrassed and ill. But it's like the only way I can get this poison she injected into our lives out of the way is to finally face it. We have spoken a number of times over the past few days and had dinner Friday evening. She was apologetic and said that she would go into no contract with the and that she wanted her family back. She also wanted to MC and look into why she did the things she did. Friday night I saw her send a NC letter via email to her boyfriend. I let her come back home Saturday, and we were going to make a MC appointment at the beginning of the year. She agreed to let me know her passwords and that she wanted a new start and for us to know everything about each other. Yesterday evening we were watching a movie upstairs in our bedroom and the girls were downstairs. After about an hour her phone rings and she starts talking, then goes into the bathroom to talk. It was a lot of yes, no, we'll see, not now, etc. Obviously, my red light goes on. She comes out and I ask her who the hell that was. She then told me that she had called him earlier in the day because she wanted to see if we were okay. He was just calling her back and they were ending it formally with no hard feelings. I told her that I think she's actually given him a lot of hard feelings. She looked hurt that I dared make a joke about her wounded friendship. I asked her what part of no contact was hardest to understand. She tried to give me a hug and I told her not to touch me. I told the girls that Dad had to leave for a while and I left for the night and stayed with my brother and crashed on his sofa. She called me about 30 times since I left, but I haven't talked to her at all. She came over this afternoon, but I told my brother to just get rid of her. He did. I will call home tonight to talk to my daughters and to let them know that Dad will be home soon, but not right now. I have his full name and he is single. Doesn't mean I couldn't send a letter to his boss about how he is screwing his co-worker in another office. Will that mean anything? Will it end up costing my wife her job? At this point I don't care. I'm going to do it. Quick update. The long and short of it is that my STBX told me after the holiday that she wanted to work on making our marriage stronger than ever, but that she didn't want to end contact with her boyfriend because she thought he was a good man who was a good friend for her. Also, that I shouldn't try to control her. I'm obviously summarizing the conversation, but that truly is the gist of it. The only thing I realized at this point is that I've made a monumental mistake in choosing life partners. So, I've done the following. 1. Told her to move out. She is staying with a friend for the time being. Not for too long though because of item number 3. 2. I've put in motion filing for divorce. 3. I will be filing for full custody. Now this I had anticipated being a potentially major issue, as you can imagine. However, that had a quirky development. It appears that her special friend has made it possible for her to be transferred to the office he works in a number of miles away. She has accepted and stated to me that perhaps it's best if I have custody of our daughters for now while she finds herself. 4. I had told her employer of her extramarital romance with a boss in their company. But as I can see with her being moved to his office, this wasn't exactly an earth-shattering event for them. Well, she can certainly find herself elsewhere, because it won't be here. She also stated to me that she always thought she would be able to get back into my life when this fling was done because she thought I'd always be there for her. But I am too selfish to really show her that I care, and that I'll always be selfish. I could be wrong of course, but I do think that perhaps getting nailed by a co-worker while wearing my wedding ring might put her higher on the selfish ratings chart than my not wanting to be BFFs with her right now. But maybe I'm just too cold to see how mean I am. Honestly, all of this really sucks. I feel rather dead inside right now. But the one thing I refuse to do anymore is be walked on. I'd rather be alone. It's also incredibly embarrassing to deal with the last 6 months. More so my reaction than even the being cheated on. Hi, I had my wife cheat on me and I really didn't do anything about it all summer except give her a boo-boo face and tell her she is mean. I can't imagine what I was thinking. I'm all over the place right now. I have to be a good father to my girls. That is number one. But the rest, I'm just figuring it out. The work thing is a twofold issue for me right now. I think I probably did notify the wrong person at her workplace. I don't doubt that now. But, B, I really want to fast-track the divorce and think that perhaps it's better to let her run off with Romeo so I can get full custody and a better agreement. I don't pretend to know what the best thing to do is, but I am leaning towards going with option B as a means to getting the favorable terms to the divorce. To be clear, I don't have any interest in remaining in this marriage, so using some method to wake her up to come back to me isn't really something that I want. But I'm having some difficulty thinking fully clearly at this point and may be missing something here. Initial D-Day. I tried to nice my way out of this horror show and that did absolutely nothing other than make me feel like I was worth $1. I'm kind of resentful that it took me doing that to get her to actually pay attention to me and what she was doing. I don't really care too much right now about being with her, but I am going to have to work through that resentment for my children's sake. I don't think it would be good for them to see me snarky towards their mother. It's difficult to describe the anger I feel towards her. No, it's not the type of anger that would make me ever get physical. Even in the blind rage of finding out she was cheating on me, I didn't come close to doing anything physical. However, the rage I'm describing is like this. She hugged me tonight for letting her stay at the house. Her touch made me feel nauseous. I've lost by letting my future ex-wife live back in the house for the month of March while she finds a place. However, I'm not interested in a war or punishment of anyone at that point. There is no marriage and will not be a marriage to work on at this point anyway. She will be out by April 1st. None of this is easy at all, but I do feel a small slice of peace or serenity since I have decided to go forward with the divorce. The decision has been made and there is no talking about it as far as I'm concerned, except if it's to go over terms. The future ex and I talk briefly in the early evenings. She makes dinner for the girls. For me too in theory, but I run to get something to eat on my own on the way home from work. In the later evenings I work the exercise bike in the basement once the girls are in bed. So, we aren't bonding really. She'll ask to talk every so often, but I have been clear that the time to talk was in the past and not now. I'm not interested in dating at this time. I'd enjoy having a period of time with no woman in my life, to be honest. That isn't meant as a dirty dig that it sounds like. And I do find myself attracted to women all of the time. I just could use the mental break from being in a relationship. In 2020 I'm going to be 100% single. I think of my ex as being a good mother. She was certainly distracted for the last number of months, but even in that phase she was at least somewhat there about her duties as opposed to completely negligent. She doesn't deserve an award of valor for that, but I'm not going to punish my daughters by fighting to keep their mother out of their lives. Honestly, for all I know she could be getting mounted by some guy in the Dairy Queen parking lot every day. As far as I'm concerned, if that was indeed happening, I would race over to the Dairy Queen and buy myself some ice cream and wave at her while I left. She's not mine anymore. When I was communicating with my future ex-wife during the week, she was mentioning being in counseling. Then she had asked me what kind of things I was doing to help with the depression and I've been feeling since everything broke apart last winter. She asked to read what I wrote of her and I did show her. If I was going to seriously contemplate a form of revenge, I would just get the hottest girl I could talk into dating me and romance her in front of my ex. I really do think though that I will ask her to not be on this thread after this weekend though. I don't want to engage directly. I know she is looking for a chance to talk to me in any method available, but I don't feel like having her invade my space if that makes sense. I just turned 39. She is 41. Feeling a bit better today. I'm a diabetic, and sometimes I don't handle my medication like I should. I forgot to take my insulin in the morning, and things got out of hand. I worked my normal schedule and felt worse and worse. I tried to gut it out, and that was stupid. My WW was over with the kids when I got home. After an hour or so I asked her for help, because I almost felt drunk, even though I don't drink. She took me to the emergency room and they kept me for a few hours while my #S got back under control. She was crying and asking me why I allowed this to happen. It certainly wasn't my idea, but I take responsibility for being very dumb with my health. I'm still having some trouble keeping my levels at a decent level, as they seem to be either crashing or through the roof. I've asked her to stay in the guest room mainly because I want to make sure the girls are taken care of tonight. I'm still feeling a little under the weather. We have moved her into an apartment nearby and she was actually in there on March 28th. She has some things she needs to be able to work on to have a better future. We've talked about a lot of things the last few days while moving her out. I think she does love me, but as mentioned here previously, I think it is a fatherly love she feels for me. I'm honestly not sure she is capable of romantic love. Maybe she is, but I don't think she has felt that yet for anyone. I'm still thinking that divorce is the path that needs to be taken for our relationship. But I would prefer that we are able to co-parent together as well as we possibly can. And honestly, I would like to see her get the help she needs as a person. I am a type 1 diabetic, so I'm insulin dependent no matter what I do. But I absolutely agree though that exercise is a great way to lessen the need for as much insulin and to regulate sugar levels. I haven't worked out the past 2 weeks and have let stress get to me. Obviously, I have to do a better job of managing things. I'm bitter today. I've made mistakes in my life and in my marriage. We all have. But I don't deserve what I've gone through for the past year. Not trying to make myself sound like a man of the year candidate, but I have always worked very hard, paid all of the bills and spent as much time as possible with my wife. Maybe that was too available. For example, when I took up playing in a basketball league at a local gym a year ago, it was like WW3. Honestly, it was from 7 to 9 one night a week, and after 3 months of dealing with the sad face from my wife, I just quit. Maybe that's the problem in all of this. Should I have been bolder about putting my needs first more often? I like playing basketball, damn it. I know how juvenile that sounds, but it's the truth. I've always been the good guy. For what? I've attended trade shows for my industry 2 to 3 times a year for a couple of days in various cities in the US. Some of my colleagues would booze up and hit the pickup bars, even if they were married. I would go back to my hotel immediately after the show and order room service and read a book. Every single time. Do you know what an idiot I feel like now? I do actually enjoy sex too. I do find women attractive. I've always maintained a hard line in the sand in terms of never giving off any sort of available vibe. My nickname with some of my staff is Disney because I only act in ways that are PG. I only really realize now that I shouldn't have bothered. I guess I just thought the marital vows actually meant something. I should have just had some fun on the side and said, oh, sorry, I just forgot how much I love you or something, I guess. My bad. What do I really want to do right now? Honestly, find a bad girl and have a fling. But only with a single girl. I wouldn't do to anyone what these bastards did without any regard to me. Wild and crazy month. Wife is living close to the house in an apartment. We see each other often and she is in our kids' life, of course. I was doing the back and forth thing. She feels comfortable, so I was considering allowing her back into my life. We did go out on a date mid-month or so. We ended up sleeping together for the first time in 6 to 7 months. Then I got a call from my mom some 20 days ago telling me she had to tell me something. My dad had a tumor found in his right lung and he would have to undergo a number of tests to see where things are at. It's been good and bad. Nothing definitive, which may be a good sign in that it's not completely obviously cancer. And if it is cancer, it may be early stage. Nevertheless, it's been a serious jolt. My dad has been my best friend my whole life, and still is to this day. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not 100% sure what has happened the last couple of weeks to me. But the status of my marriage has gone from a source of major thought and concern to very distant in my list of priorities. I apologize if that sounds very cold, but I'm just being honest. I don't know if it's good for me to be married to someone that was basically making me a cuckold without even my knowing it. The definition of what is healthy is probably beyond me at this point. But the one thing I do know that my 100% concentration is on my children and my parents right now. It would be different if I was with a woman who had valued me and was a loyal partner. But the reality is that wasn't the case. When I do have free time as such, I'm with my dad. If my marriage ends up not being recaptured due to this, then so be it. I feel like this is a defining moment in my life, and I'm choosing to concentrate on a man who has been loyal and giving to me his whole life. Whatever course this whole medical journey takes us, it's woken me up to value the time I have with him. Hopefully another 10 to 20 years. But regardless, whatever time we do have I will value. Update. My dad had major surgery to remove the tumor in his chest in the late part of May. The diagnosis turned out to be lymphoma as opposed to lung cancer, as they found the tumor on the outside of the lung as opposed to in the lung. Obviously, any cancer diagnosis is scary, but this was significantly better news than I was expecting. It's a mild or more accurately slow form of lymphoma, so the surgery actually seems to be the cure for the time being. There is no further trace of cancer at this time. Obviously, there will be multiple reviews, tests down the line. Everything over the past 16 months just took a toll on me mentally, and I really don't have anything left to give to a marriage that unfortunately feels like it was a sham. I am certainly grateful for the children that we have, but in terms of the overall connection that I hoped we shared, I think of that as an illusion. At this point, I prefer to start over and have filed officially for divorce. It seems, knock on wood, that it will be as easy as is possible and that she isn't fighting me and we have agreed to terms. We both agree that I'm the more suitable parent at this time, as she works on herself and the issues she has in her life. Obviously, she will always be welcome to be a major factor in my daughter's lives. So, the custody agreement we've reached is that I'm primary and she will have unlimited visitation. We will be selling our house and most of the assets will be split 60 to 40 in her favor. I've been fortunate enough that I've had a major promotion at my place of employment, and although money will always be an issue, it's not an emergency. So, since she is being very generous and not fighting me for custody, I'm choosing not going to get into a fight over the money. Honestly, all I want is my freedom at this point. I love her, but I don't trust her at all, and even after a year of truly believing she isn't doing anything behind my back, I still am just too broken by her betrayals to be able to trust her again. Of course, at this point, she is free to date as many people as she wants. My only regard at this point is that they aren't introduced to my daughter's lives until she is serious about someone. But that is all just theory right now. Who knows how everything will play out? It's not how I anticipated my life would be entering my 40s. But life will toss you things that you don't expect, and the only thing I think we can do is to adjust as best as possible. If any of this sounds a little distant and clinical, it's only because I've had plenty of time to come to terms with things. It obviously isn't that easy to pull the plug on a relationship that is as long as the one we've had. It feels at times still completely raw and painful, but I find if I just keep moving and stay busy every day is a little less painful. My ex no longer works for the same company and has been working recently in the same field, but for a different company. She is not seeing the OM as far as I can tell, but I am not 100% sure, as I've removed myself as much as one can while still having children with someone. That of course is much easier said than done. I know she is in counseling and has mentioned thinking she is a bonding addict. A lot of her activity stems from abuse she suffered when she was a child and young teen from a family member. This was unknown to me until recently. I do thank everyone for their suggestions and such. I was just joking about taking the money for selling her painting to date someone. Despite all that has gone on, that would feel dirty. My problem is this: I still love her, but it's so flawed that I don't think I would be able to bring myself to ever forgive her. That's my problem that I deal with. As for the painting, I'll give it to my oldest daughter. She is the one most troubled by all of this nonsense. Hopefully she'll be able to appreciate it more than I can at this point. My comment: what you feel is likely not love, but a sense of loss, failure, and regret that things fell apart. It will pass, and keep your distance. You need to heal before you start trying to heal her. And telling her you love her will simply give her false hope, which is likely to have a long-term negative impact on her. You are doing well. Don't open yourself up for any setbacks.